911, what is your emergency?
Units respond code 3 to a 1050 on the highway. Vehicles are blocking multiple
We're en route
lanes
to the
of travel.
hospital. Patient is currently having
We've got a
cardiac
4-alarm
arrest and has
fire
been
here.
intubated.
Send additional
Protesters are
trucks.
outside of City Hall and they are not complying with our
Out
orders
on 1,
to
hold the
disperse.
air.
In a rapidly changing world for first responders where it seems that every day the rules and norms are changing, there is one voice you can count on to give you the latest in emergency news. That is Lifeline. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 podcast with your host, Erica.
Hello.
And I'm your co-host, Gary, and today we have a very special episode for Telecommunicators Week 2024. And to help us out with that special episode, we have a special guest, Roxi.
Hello.
Our guest tonight, Roxi Zamora, has 9 years of expertise in emergency communications, both as a frontline supervisor and a police dispatcher. Roxi has also been certified as a certified training operator, and for the last several years has been one of the primary planners behind our agency's celebration of Telecommunicators Week. So let me first start off by asking, what is Telecommunicators Week?
Gary, Telecommunicators Week, and as we in the biz typically call it TC Week, is just what he said. It's a celebration of the first responders all over the nation for a whole week. It's usually it is the second week of April, and it is a solid week from that Sunday through that Saturday. And it is designed to be a way for the community and the agency to say thank you to those that are the voices in the night.
The voices in the night.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you two have been very involved in Telecommunicators Week for many years, and is it a lot of work, or is it just like a little bit of work and it gets done? Like some magical fairy comes by? Like how does all of this kind of happen?
I'll let Roxi deal with that but before we do that, guys, you got to know Roxi is our resident guru for all things TC Week. I am a little elf helper. And I have no shame in admitting that. I think you'll remember from one of the earlier episodes, we called her the night shift potluck queen.
Something
right? We were
to that
talking
effect,
about our poor pitiful salad potluck and how we went with the salad because we could not compare to night shift and we didn't want to try. So, yeah. Roxi.
Hello. Thanks for having me. What is TC Week? And it is a lot of work, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years that we've been doing this, we've tried to spread out the load. You know, we start planning as early as December. December is kind of like you're gathering the ideas, listening to your floor, remembering you're celebrating your people is what this is. Nice. Especially as a supervisor, you want to keep that in mind that we are part of it, but you know, it has to start with us celebrating those guys on the floor that come in and day out, holidays, snowmageddons, you call it COVID, no COVID, they have to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's the 1 week where you have that opportunity without being told you can't do it to have a party, like, while we still work.
That's good.
How can you have a party while you can still answer those 911 calls and dispatch officers? So we start in December. We start listening to our people. What they want to see, what they like, what kind of food they would like to get, what kind of games they would like to see, the themes. We get a lot of feedback on themes because they like to celebrate. They like to dress up. So we like to hear what they want to do so we can kind of get a week theme together for them.
Let me ask real quick, Roxi, how do you get that feedback from them? When you said, asking the floor, how do you do that?
So it's been growing. At first, it was more of a word of mouth. And then as the years have come by, it's a little bit more organized now. So I do a mass email to the entire staff, not just the floor staff, but we'll include everybody above us as well to get ideas, to see what they want to do. While we're getting those ideas, we also throw in there if anybody's interested in being in the committee. So Now, I've been doing it with Erica for the last 2 years, but our goal is to eventually pass the baton off, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've had enough of this fun. Somebody else take hold.
yeah. Or sometimes it's just to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
I
Yeah.
think about it and I was just like, I don't know that I could ever let it go. But you got to bring in new ideas. I mean,
Sure.
we're getting new generations in
That's
this
true.
building and just kind of keeping it in their realm
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
just being able to be a guide on how to make it work. You know, eventually us oldies are going to be going out the door and
As I like to say, we're going to retire
Yeah.
or die or both.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
somebody has to be able to carry on. You know, it's not as much as pride as I like to take over the work. It's just like, can somebody duplicate what we do?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked a lot on this show about training and how training is so like, you've got to have somebody to, fill your shoes when you move on. And, it sounds like planning for TC Week is no different.
Yes, it's all the same. With that email that we get ideas, we send out an interest for our committee as well. We've learned that our committee is usually composed of a smaller group. It's not all the help we're going to use for TC Week, just because our first year that we attempted it, there was a lot of people on our committee, and we had a hard time,
Yeah.
like just narrowing down what we were going to do. It was
Yeah.
like every week we said, okay, by next week we'll decide, and then it just kept pushing on, and I was just like, we got to make a decision now.
What is it that they say? A committee is a group that keeps minutes and loses hours?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard that,
Oh.
but I like it.
Okay.
But you can have too many, you always hear it, too many cooks in the kitchen, that
Yes.
kind of thing. And it just creates, and nobody means any harm, but it just gets so big and everybody wants to be heard and you want everybody to be heard. And I think you're 100% right. Under your leadership, we realized the smaller, more intimate group to make those baseline decisions and then let it grow from there is just so much better.
Yes. And I mean, you'll get to know your people because we try to pick from the committee. You get to know who's vocal, who's not on the floor, who's, we're bringing in people into this committee that we feel are the voices of those out there.
Agreed.
Right? Like
Yes.
they're the team leaders down on the floor, those hitting leaders down on the
Yes.
floor that people come to all the time.
Yep.
And so those are the ones we try to pick.
Those
to be-
unofficial
Yes.
leaders, the ones that don't have an official title, but they have that leadership quality, and the floor looks up to them.
Yeah.
So, from what you're saying, like this sounds like it's a big week-long kind of blockbuster party. Is that like kind of what I'm getting from this?
Absolutely.
That's the idea. At least that has been my goal. We actually
Okay.
did a presentation of it is called TC Week for a reason
Yes.
and not a day.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I started first year, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate everything they did, but it was scattered throughout the week where somebody new would be like, what are we celebrating again?
Yeah.
Or like, what
Yeah.
was this for?
Yep.
So it was good. Like we would get something nice one day and then we go 2-3 days silent and then we get dessert or, meal from management and everybody's like,
And you have to remind each
Yeah.
other what it is we're doing. And if we've been here a while, then we would be the ones to remind them. And
Yeah.
and if you go back as far as I've been here, you've been 9, this time 10 for me, but even further back to when I started in like 2000, it was, I don't even remember TC Week, not one, from when I started all those years ago. So yeah, I don't remember anything. And we want it to not be that. We don't want the week to pass by and them go, wait, what were we doing?
right.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like the festivities, like you break it down, like each day has its own like theme for the day,
I'm going to let you take that.
and you try and like coordinate all of the ideas and the plans and the fun activities towards that theme. Is that correct?
Yes. So once we've gathered what the floor wants as far as, theme, sports day, retro day, because they like to dress up in decades.
Everybody
No
loves
matter
that.
what age, I think that one is by far one of the most popular ones on the dressing up and participation of people across the floor. So once we have all those ideas, we try to theme the week. So like example, this year is the Austin Comms Academy Spirit Week. So that's like the overall theme.
Okay.
And then every day, like we're doing kind of like we took it back, like, Spirit Week in high school, where you would do like pajama day and like we'll do retro day. And so each day has its own theme of what we want people to like. Either they can participate in dressing up, games that we provide for them. Each day we have photo booths this year that we created a different background for each one to match the theme that we're going to have.
Wow. Okay.
And there's even going to be there's a locker theme.
For sports day.
There's literally locker. There's a locker backdrop, y'all. This thing is nuts. I'm so excited. I'm sick that I'm not going to be here.
And so food is also coordinated with a theme. So pajama day is breakfast for lunch. Sports is tailgating. What are some of the other ones? Family day. That one's just going to be an outdoor one, but that one is with all our agencies here at ZTech.
Yeah. So so each day has its own theme, but let's talk for a minute about Family Day, because that's sort of the culmination of the TC week, is it not?
Yes. So here for us at APD, our Family Day is our last day. And it was brought up, I don't know how before, what they would think of it. For me, it was nobody gets to see where you work. Like we are in the cave, technically. I almost want to call it the Bat Cave. We just put a little globe over us and it's a cave.
Yeah.
Nobody really gets to see what it looks like for us, right? They see shows and they're like, oh, so does it look like this? And so does not even close.
Not exactly.
Not even close. So it's just a way, I think, to be able to have our people bring in their family, see our center, and then we have events for them to be outside. And, we bring some of our other departments, patrol, that'll bring out their cars. The horses will come out, canine. Our bomb squad guys will come out.
Yes.
So we'll invite them. It's just kind of like just to close it up and let their family see what their heroes do behind that headset.
And it is, what is it? It's about a 4-hour thing, isn't it? I think we started off 10 or 11 and it's usually done by no later than 4. But we have drinks and the food is free and there's no age limit to who can come. And I know for me, one of the highlights is the people that can come in and they look around and the admiration on their face when they realize where you work and it becomes really real to them what you do. That is my mother was never so proud as before until she walked in and looked at all the screens and she's just like, oh my God, she had a new respect for it after she saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that Family Day is a really cool way to like end the entire week, and because you get to have like so many of these different elements, and it's not all from like the police. There's also, as you said, like fire and EMS there, and like the kids can get quote unquote arrested and put in the back of a cop car, and they can like jump around an ambulance and like
they absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a really cool way of getting your family to kind of be a part of this, because in this profession, one of the things that Erica and I'd kind of talked about was it's hard to have like familial relationships with people because it's just so disconnected. Like you never have a Christmas party that everybody comes to, like and like because everybody's on different shifts, it's hard to get everybody together. So this is really kind of a great way, it sounds like, to get that camaraderie, that family relationship going.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's also just a thank you to those families, especially all the ones that come out here. They're sharing their loved ones with us. Again, I've said it before, these guys work holidays, weekends, the grandma's birthday, your birthday, you're here. And it's time away from your family. I think sometimes some of these people spend more time here with us and with their loved ones.
Yep.
So it's a way to say thank you. This is, showing them, be proud of your family member. This is what they do, where they work. And I think it's also, you mentioned it earlier, it's a fun thing because in our field, it's hard to go home and be like, I had a great day at work. It's like, I don't think that's like, I don't know that I've ever gone home and been like, yeah, it was a fantastic day at work, just by what we do by nature, it's not. And so being able to have our kids, like I have kids, and for them to see a fire truck, a patrol officer, not in attending an accident, not attending a fire.
Yes.
And just, it's a normal day for them to see. And it's just kind of like, okay.
Now, just, I guess, a side question. Did your kids, after getting to kind of be up close and personal with that, did they, seem to change, like did they were like, oh, I'd like to be a medic or a fireman or a cop or anything?
One of them wants to be a cop.
Okay.
He's like, maybe I could start like you, and then I could be a police officer.
That's awesome.
I gotta let them live their dream. I cringe a little bit, but I'm just like, if that's what you want, then that's what you'll, go for it.
Yeah, and it also gives, I think, the family a really great understanding that you don't get it from, watching like the movie The Call or like what's that, Austin 911?
Yes, Lone Star 911. Yes.
Like it's just so much different, and to actually get in and kind of see what it's all about, because I think people have this really air of mystery about it, but it's really just people sitting at computer terminals, like, and radio consoles. It's the people that make the difference, though. And as you said, those families are sharing those people, because it's a commitment.
And it's probably a way, and I just thought about this just sitting here now, it's a way for them to join in on the celebration. They don't really have a way to celebrate us. And my mom and dad, when he was living, they had no idea what that TC week was. That nobody knows what that is. And it, amazingly enough, do y'all know there's no commercials? There's no commercials about TC. There's no commercials about TC week or anything. For it to be a national thing, that we even had a president sign a declaration about this in 1994.
Yeah.
Got it right, Gary. I got it right. To say that it was such a big deal, and there's nothing out there to educate the public on this week that means so much to us in the field. I find that interesting.
Yeah, because Police Week, I think you get some local radios that will advertise or commercial, thank their police officers. You get schools, a lot of elementary schools, they'll do posters for them. But yeah, there's nothing for us. Even in the last presentation I did for Nina, that was one of my things, was just like, I just want this to be known. Like, it just has to be a known, kind of like, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Everybody knows what that is, right?
So true.
Like, if you don't know the exact dates, you know at least that exists.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like our goal, is like, hey, can we pass this out?
I love that.
And I was even telling Erica, I was just like, with some of our smaller agencies, is creating like a gift exchange basket, and even the like super small ones, because thankfully we're a bigger agency and it comes with its turmoils, but you got smaller agencies where literally 2 people that manage their comm center, and they're dispatching for at least 10 officers in their counties, areas. Some of them have combined because they're so tiny, so they have multiple officers, but they're from different counties.
Yeah.
And it's 2 or 3 people working that center. And so I was just like, we could do like a Big Brother gift basket out to them, and making sure that they understand, like, hey, we see you, more so.
Yes.
Like, we see you, and maybe if their officers or community sees that it would pass on the word. It grows from that. Like, this would just be the beginning for them.
So I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead. I was going to say, thinking about your gift exchange, it's a fabulous idea. So and I know a gift exchange between Big Brother, meaning larger agency, to smaller agency. What would you say to someone who's listening right now to this podcast years from now or next week, and they're thinking, well, we don't have money. How are we supposed to do that? How would you encourage them to come up with a TC week of their own if there are no funds in their purse, if you will?
Some of the, you have to be careful with what your agency allows or not. If you're that small, from the ones I've talked to, like their policies are a little bit less than ours as far as where their funds come from or accepting donations, kind of deal. So I've said, like, to those smaller agencies, like, truly reach out to your community. Reach out to your local coffee shop. Hey, this week, is there any chance we could do just for a day? They get a coupon or something, and then they can go pick up coffee for the day, and that comes from their community. A lot of it I've learned at an early age is if you don't ask, you don't get.
It's very true.
Like, what are they going to say? No? Okay, you're not at a lower spot than where you started. So just ask.
It's very true.
How many GoFundMe accounts are created with a purpose? What is your purpose? What are you trying to serve? And, be transparent with your community. That's obviously powerful. Do not, take them for granted and take money, but be open to what you're trying to celebrate. If it's one or two people, I'm sure a restaurant would be willing to give you 2 plates. Yeah. There's only 2 people.
That's true.
So again, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. You're not going to be at a worse place than you were when you started.
Mm-hmm. That's really wise, and that's good advice. So just kind of recapping, small agency, if there's only a few of you, just maybe reach out to your local newspaper even.
Yes.
And see if they would be willing to print a little blurb. Because I think we were just talking about the fact that nobody knows what this is. So they don't even know what they're not helping to celebrate because they don't know what it is. And if we don't tell them, if we don't get the word out, I think that is probably the bigger theme. Get the word out. And that's half the battle.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Just making it be known is half your battle already.
Yeah.
This year's that you're putting on is like donations as opposed to like maybe that has been budgeted or gifted by, different agencies?
So it's a little bit different for us here at APD because we're City of Austin employees. And so as the City of Austin, they don't host like a traditional Christmas party. Like if you work anywhere else, they have Christmas parties or company picnics.
Yeah.
So they don't have that. So what they have instead is called REAP. I forget what it actually
Recognizing Exceptional Actions Program, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Show off.
So the city designates an amount per employee that can be spent towards each employee. And so it's a specific dollar amount. And the departments get to pick how they wish to spend that. They can opt to not do anything and just let the employee take the money. Now, it is a beautiful government agency, so you do get taxed. It goes on your on your paycheck and it gets taxed, or if you get a gift card, you still pay taxes on it. With ours, we've used those funds to fund TC Week. We feel like our employees get a whole lot more using that because we don't pay taxes because we show purpose of like, hey, we're buying food this entire week. Here's the receipts or here's the purchase order that I need you to order for this day.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're able to use those funds a whole lot. It goes
a lot further.
Yeah. Especially since a lot of it is, as you said, like you've got a small cadre that, really head up and plan everything, but then you really expand that team to have extra volunteers, people who might, make some food or like, help, hand out food. So that is a way to kind of conserve some money there and spread it out a little further.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, knowing your people, just here with our agency, you have some people on that floor that I'm just like, I'm not sure why you're working here because you'd be a fantastic chef.
Yes.
what do you call it? Pastry maker?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
I almost said her name, but
Yeah,
we
like-
got some. We have a former actual pastry chef.
Yeah.
And she can make the most ridiculous stuff.
A lot of people like my sopapilla cheesecake I brought in last week.
What?
Oh, you weren't there for that. Never mind.
Okay. I completely missed that. Anywho, back to what we were talking about as far as cooking and chefs and stuff. Like this for this one, we're gonna make tacos.
Yes.
Even though we probably could buy it, but we like making some of those things because it is a way for us, especially even as leadership, to serve in
Correct.
a way. There's not a whole lot better than having your leadership cook for you. Because I know one year we had one of our assistant managers walking around with a cart, and he was literally fixing plates and handing out food. And I think he had on a apron thing, didn't he? For me, that was just the greatest thing ever. Looking up and seeing someone in that type of a position walking around with an apron and a cart and dishing up food.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just means a lot to your people when they see your supervision, like to what you said at the top of the show about us as supervisors expressing our appreciation and celebrating the people that are working day in and day out, because it's part of our job to make their jobs easier. And it's just I enjoy it. I love it.
And one of the interesting things as well, I think that you guys have started to do is you have sort of you get points for participation throughout the week, right?
Yes.
And that kind of lead to like a grand prize, like a Ferrari or something. You maybe could talk a little bit more about that.
It would be like a toy Ferrari. Sure,
Hot
we
Wheels.
can get a Hot Wheel in those baskets. But yeah, it's just a way of encouraging them to participate. It's surprising when you get those that like to be in their shell come out and truly participate. The way our agency works with having dispatch on one side, call takers on the other side, I feel like that week is also the one week where you kind of start seeing the blend together.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking to each other, commenting on their outfits. This year, we're going to invite them to bring desserts at their own will. With whatever day they want to bring a dessert, that's fine. And these are going to be homemade desserts. And so then you'll get those messages, who made this? And, they're asking. And so, again, this is all with the REAP money. How much can we do? So we'll do gifts. So this year we're trying to make as many little gift baskets, whether it has a cup with like a magnet or a cup with a pin that has our logo. And so they get little coupons for participating. Activities that we have for the day, dressing up. What are some of the other participations?
We have the games, of course, and the crosswords. I think we're having virtual bingo, and we're trying to decide if
we have a mystery game.
Yeah,
So
to solve the crime.
Yeah,
and I think there's a prize for the winner of that, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay.
Like if you actually get it right.
That's not going to be me, but okay.
But it's just a way to get them to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't even think it's about the price. Like I think even for me, right? Just getting that entry ticket, like you got to have a ticket. Like, how do I get one of those tickets?
Makes it special and unique.
Yeah,
it does.
And it's just fun watching them really participate, and they'll get entry points for everything they participate throughout the week. I think a wonderful thing that with the virtual this year is that you can participate from home. That bingo, if you're at home, you'll be able to participate. All our crosswords, all our trivias that we have, everything's going virtual this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to be sending out in an email form. So those that have their email on their phone, or they can access it at home by logging in, they'll be able to participate. They don't have to be here. I was like, oh, I missed out on that because I couldn't be.
Yep.
If you're at home and I'm like, oh, I want to do that trivia, they'll be able to, and we'll be able to see who is making the entries, and we'll submit an entry for them.
And we won't be able to do that. Well, we're having an arcade this year. I'm so excited about that. I'll be in DC presenting Roxy's idea for TC Week. She was able to do a presentation for Nina, but since she'll be here spearheading TC Week at home, I am going to go to DC and represent us. And I'm excited and super humbled about that. It's huge. It's a huge thing. And I'm super excited about that.
Erica touched on our game room. It's actually a how would you say it, co-hosted game room with our partner agency with Travis County.
Okay.
We have one of the ladies there. She has actual like arcade, like standing arcade games.
That sounds really cool.
And so we're gonna have she's gonna bring some of those in there. We'll have some board games. And so the room's gonna be up all week, and it's just hopefully a way to have somebody go in there and you can de-stress during your break, lunch, whatever you want. Come in early, you want to play, can stay later.
Yep.
You want to play. Again, it's just to like really make that impact that this week was about them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I was going to say, we are also inviting our council members, our our brass, if you will. That's another thing that you can do. I know so many agencies don't even think about having their council members or brass come in and see what that week is. It is infectious. We have assistant chiefs and commander level will come in and bring potluck type stuff with them because they just get swept up in it. And I think before we go, I think that for me, I would want to remind everyone, don't forget to celebrate yourself. Even if you cannot get a huge celebration that comes from outside, there's a ton of things that you can do to celebrate the person in the trenches next to you, because that's part of what we do.
Or get your patrol. I know you were saying the story went early on about how TC Week got started, and this lady pretty much got onto her officers and said, "Hey,
let me see if I can remember where it was. It's
Contra
Costa, California, 1981. Patricia Andrews, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the story goes something like she was either the only one on duty, and she couldn't go get food herself, and for whatever reason, her patrol peeps did not go get her food, and she was quite verbal about it. They made up for it, and several years later, and I'm sure that's an oversimplification of the story, but you get the gist.
Yeah. Because when we do something like that, I mean, we don't twist our arms or anything, but again, passing out the word, we put out postal boards at the substations where patrol can see it. It's an invitation to come see us. Write a comment to your dispatchers, write a comment to your call takers on the whiteboards that we post up there. And then there's a whole flyer like, hey, make sure to stop by, come see them, say hi. So it's great when you get an officer in here and they're like, I couldn't do what you do. Yeah. And we're like, I couldn't do what you do.
Yeah, nope, don't want to.
The value of teamwork, though.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Roxy. We've really appreciated having your insights and humor and the stories of Telecommunicators Week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxy.
You've been doing a great job. Please keep up the hard work. And to all the telecommunicators listening to this, thank you all so much for your hard work. This week is Telecommunicators Week 2024, which will be April 14th through the 20th, I believe.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you have any questions about how to get your own TC Week going, if you want to email us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. We might even be able to put you in touch with Roxy if she's willing to help out.
I'm sure she would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from all of us here at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary.
I'm Erica.
And we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching our production of Lifeline 911 podcast. If you have any questions about the topics we discussed today, or if there's something specific you'd like us to cover in a future episode, send us your questions at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. Stay safe out there. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.